We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app and your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And you can watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. You'll see I have a friend in the studio with me, Mr. Purvie Green. We've been friends for a really long time. He's been up to helping out farmers markets across our state for as long as I have known him with the Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce, and also up to some other good things. Welcome, Purvie.
Well, I thank you.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, what, 3, 4, 5 years maybe?
But you're still out there with your boots on the ground, working with local farmers markets and farmers and all the in-between. Is it hot out there right now, Purvie? I
don't know if that's even a nice word to say it. I mean, I've gotten so used to it till, I tell people this is actually beginning to feel like spring to me, but because it's going to get, once July hit, it's going to hit another notch hotter, so... But yeah, it is pretty.
I will
humid.
say there was a little bit of a cloud cover today. It was just slightly overcast, and it's crazy that you're grateful for that.
I'm very grateful. When I walked out to come here, I said, "This is kind of comfortable for right now." So, and it's so funny. I was actually running late because I was preparing for a meeting that I'm having up in the Delta regarding farmers markets. So hopefully it's something we can put together. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the farmers markets, because I think that's a term that's kind of like an umbrella term for a lot of different things for people in their different communities. When you hear farmers market, like what comes to mind, or how do you define farmers market?
So that is an interesting question, and actually a question of debate among some people. So what I define as a farmer's market is basically a location, a consistent location, operates on a consistent basis, comprised of 2 or more farmers that's selling the majority, ag-based products. Now, there are a lot of farmers markets that don't have that. You may have 2 farmers, and you may have 15 other vendors, farmers are becoming hard to find, quite honestly, but that's how I define it. Now, you will have some farm stands that are called a farmer's market, but they are selling fruits, vegetables, ag-based products, but it may not be the farmer that's actually there selling it.
So they come and drop off their produce, and then it's sold kind of like a grocery store, without a better word?
Several different models. So that's one model where it may be a location where there's somebody that either owns that location, where the farmers, basically that person's selling it for them on consignment, if you will. But in most cases, that the owner of that, location is buying it either from a farmer or buying it from out of state, because there are certain things we don't grow in Mississippi, of course. But that is a farm stand that sometimes is called a farmer's market. So there are several different models, but mostly what I work with are farmer's markets where it's the farmer that's selling his directly grown produce. Some farmers may also aggregate some things from, other farmers. Some cases out of state. Sometimes their peaches are not widely grown across the state. So in certain pockets of the state, you have to get peaches from Alabama or peaches from Georgia. Strawberries is another example. But that's mostly my definition of a farmer's market.
So there's another word to this, Purvie, is certified farmers markets. Okay. So that is a different level up. And I would think too, if they're getting their produce not from necessarily local farms, does the farm stand or the farmers market, however they're choosing to word it, do they have to should there be signage that lets someone know, or is that just something that the consumer should know, or should ask? So if they care. Not everybody cares, which is fine.
Not everybody cares, and sometimes it just really depends on the consumer. Tell you an interesting story with that in a second. But so certified farmers markets in Mississippi, of course, is a program we have at the Department of Ag, where there are 2 or more Mississippi-based farmers. That is kind of the baseline there, selling their directly grown produce. The program is mostly a marketing initiative or marketing program, if you will. Some market managers think it's more of a regulatory program, and it's really not. But that's kind of the baseline definition of a certified farmers market. It is a market that we put our stamp on, and pretty much that there are at least 2 farmers there that are growing and selling the items that they grow. You will have those certified markets will have some cottage food items, jellies and jams that's made directly by the person that taking their plums, if we will, or something else, and making that jelly. Blueberries, another good example with blueberry jelly. But that is kind of the certified farmers market definition in a program that we have. Now, not all farmers markets in the state are certified. There are some that are, that are really good markets still, but they just haven't gone the step of becoming certified yet.
Is there a reason why they would be encouraged to? Do they get resources? Do they get anything from you guys if they go for the next level of certification?
Well, the biggest reason, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but the biggest reason and I hope some of our folks are out there listening to some of our farmers and farmers markets. So if you look at some of the state regulations, state law, certified farmers markets for the most part are markets that the State Department of Revenue recognizes, and most of those vendors that operate there are tax exempt or exempt from remitting sales tax. So that is the biggest benefit right there. Of course, if you're not a certified market, they can always visit your market and make sure that you're selling items that you don't have to remit sales tax for. But the Department of Revenue recognizes those markets as markets that are operating within certain guidelines, and most of those vendors outside of arts and crafts are selling items that would be exempt from remitting sales tax.
How many certified markets does Mississippi have?
I think at this moment we have about 35, I believe.
Really?
Somewhere between 35 and 40.
Is there a farmers market of some kind in every county in Mississippi?
No.
You sound like that's a failure. No.
Yeah, I get frustrated because
should there be?
So
could there be?
When I talk to my counterparts, kind of in other states, you take Alabama, North Carolina, some of our other states, and Louisiana's probably a good example, and they've got so many farmers markets. We're talking, 100, between 100, 150, and in most of their counties, there's a farmers market in that county. We don't in Mississippi. So we have somewhere around, I think, 70, 73 farmers markets in the state. Mm-hmm. In some cases, you'll have a county that's got 2 or 3 in the same county. Yeah. But if you look at a map, and I wish I'd have brought the map with me, but if you look at a map in the Mississippi Delta, it is really scarce.
Really?
Because, the Mississippi Delta is mostly a row crop based agriculture area.
But it is the irony there, like that it's the best growing place, and it would have the least number of
That's
farmers
exactly
markets.
Right. Of course, there's a whole bunch of historical stuff that goes along with
absolutely.
that. But the it's not frustration, but I think the challenge for all of us in ag and in health is that those are also some areas of some of the poorest health conditions.
Right.
That food is not local. I mean, you've got some counties where there's not a grocery store, and that's the other challenge. Not only is there not a farmer's market in that county, there's not a grocery store in that county. So there may be a Dollar General, but that Dollar General may carry 2 or 3 fresh food items. So I wish it was an easy challenge to meet, but and I wish there was a farmer's market in every county. But
you have to have the farmers and the produce,
have the farmers.
And you have to have the to sort of do that as well.
Yeah,
I know many. If you hear on good things, if you do visit your local farmers market, and this sounds crazy to you, like I go every week and it's thriving and it's bustling. It's probably because you live in an area where the farmer doesn't have to come too far, and they're hitting up a couple of farmers markets in various counties. And if you notice, too, like the different days of the week that farmers markets will hit will be because to try to get the most farmers to make their rounds.
There are so many cities and communities, municipalities that want a farmer's market. The farmers are just hard to find. So you pretty much kind of hit it on the head. So what happens is you have farmers that will actually sell at multiple markets, and that's kind of the way to fill that void. But again, it's getting kind of a challenge for new, prime example. I've got a meeting scheduled in Shaw. Of course, Greenville has a farmers market. Shaw is just I can't remember how many miles from Greenville. Is trying to start one, but you have some areas in Mississippi where even though the two towns are only 15, 20 miles apart, there's a lot of those people that are not mobile.
Right.
So they don't have access. And the biggest challenge, and I figured you'd get to this, the biggest challenge is access affordability, and availability. And how do we meet those challenges?
How do we meet those challenges, and how do we support our farmers markets that we do have? We got more with Purvie Green coming up. Nation, you can watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. Talking to Purvie Green, who helps coordinate farmers markets across the state with Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce, but also does some other good things within that. So we mentioned you have 35 certified farmers markets. Is that also those 35 where your other programs come into play? Is those other programs only for certified markets?
No. And that's another really good question. So I coordinate what's called the WIC and Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. Those programs, we provide benefits for participants in the WIC program and for income-eligible senior citizens to be able to have a benefit to shop at farmers markets. Now, those farmers markets do not have to be certified. A good number of them are. Mm-hmm. So in our program, there are about 30 farmers markets throughout the state, from state line to state line. Some really good farmers markets, but they do not, the caveat is they do not have to be certified. But a good number of them are. I use the term authorized. They are considered authorized farmers markets. So, but there are about 30 of those that do provide the produce that WIC and senior participants can.
Let's talk about those senior participants, because I know you probably got several listening to Good Things that are going to go, oh, I didn't know this was available to me. You say that, you're like, this is going to open the floodgates here. But it's a great program, and that I could say would maybe be underutilized just because it's not as advertised as it could be.
Well, or
is it well utilized?
It is well utilized. I will say it's well utilized here. We've had this program for about I don't know how many years, but in some form or another, we've had the program since 2007. It has gone from a very small, 3 farmers market program to now 30. It is a program that is not abundantly funded. Program is funded by USDA and, of course, state departments of agriculture or departments of health coordinate the program. We were able to benefit anywhere between 4,500 and 7,000 seniors with our program. And before I forget, so it's a program where you have to be above the age of 60. Your household income for a household income of one can exceed $2,413
a month or a year.
A month.
Okay.
A month, and we set it pretty high. We had an opportunity when we started the program a long time ago to set that bar. In the technical language, is 185% of the federal poverty income level. That's a whole lot. So we could set it at 185 or 150. And we set it high just so we could have more Mississippians actually qualify for the program. We just don't have the dollars to, have a lot of seniors in the program compared to some of our other states around us. So with the program, we provide, and I hope people don't throw anything at the radio, a one-time benefit of $50. That's good for 5 or 6 months, for good from June through October 31st. That allows them to shop at, for items at their local farmers market or their authorized market. Not a lot of money, but look, starting January, the phone's ringing and saying, hey, are y'all having that a program again? So although one lady was upset at me and said it's embarrassing, and I told her, I said, you're right, especially with the economic situation we have now. But
it's something.
I get 10 times more calls saying we really appreciate you guys have this program. Mm-hmm. So before we forget, so if any senior thinks they qualify for the program, you can go to mdac.ms.gov, the application link. And so we have an opportunity for seniors to apply online. They don't, the other thing is, a 76-year-old woman would tell me, well, son, I don't have a computer. And I tell her, well, ma'am, you don't have to, do the application yourself. You can have your son, your daughter, grandson, church member actually assist you with that application. So, but it's a program, like I said, we're kind of in the middle of. We do, I think, still have availability. What I would encourage seniors to do, or if anybody's listening that has their mother, dad that lives somewhere else in the state that is in that, income eligible situation, to first see if there's a farmer's market in their local area, because there's not a authorized market in every county.
Correct.
So, but yeah, it's a program I've done for a long time. It's a challenge this time of year, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it sounds like a resource that more people need to know about, and if you qualify and are interested in it, you should take advantage of it. $50 is $50, but it also gets them to the farmers market.
Yes,
which is a good thing too, because there are other programs that allow you to utilize funds there as well.
I will be remiss if I don't say this too. If there are any farmers out there, if you have a small or large family farm operation, and right now you're not, I think corn is a big example. A lot of these guys are trying to. That corn's coming in, they're trying to unload it and get rid of it. So what I would say, if there are any farmers out there that are not participating at a farmer's market, this is a good program to participate in and get involved in. Just check out what may be an authorized farmer's market that's local to you.
So many good things when it comes around that too. And you know what, Purvie, here on Good Things, we've talked about a few farmers markets that are really up and coming and creating a sense of community in their towns. And what's coming to mind is the depot in Tupelo, that long stand. They just built the new building, and then having the farmers market, utilizing it for other events and such. And it seems like they're working with their Main Street Association and their city, and it just feels like we need to take that and put it in every in every community.
I'll tell you about it. So I have not been. So I think they just broke ground a $2 million renovation, something like that. And in Tupelo, now they're not one of the participants in my program, and I've been trying to tell them about that. But
they listen to Good Things, so they need to get on it.
Let me say this though about them and their Main Street and basically their market. So Tupelo was one of the markets that was really out there kind of when I first started with the department, and they, to a degree, they set the bar in Northeast Mississippi, and they were one of the few farmers markets that was open and going, and a lot of people went there, and I mean, they have been, one thing I haven't done is to look around and see who has been like the longest running operating farmers market, but I would say probably since I've been with the department, they would probably be somewhere on the list. They do a great job at that market. So with that renovation now, it has spurred a lot of farmers markets. I think Saltillo now has a farmers market. Nettleton actually got a grant to develop a farmers market site a year or 2 years ago. So if you look at Tupelo and if you take Tupelo and you draw a circle, about a 50-mile circle, it has really spurred markets around them. Pontotoc has a great farmers market not far from Tupelo, Oxford. So
are those same farmers able to hit up that 50-mile
radius? Now here's what's interesting. So there are some farmers that do participate in those multiple markets. In some cases, some of these markets have farmers that only go to that market, one or two,
because it's enough for them.
Yeah, it's enough for them. If you look at it, is real interesting. And it looks like there is a pocket of a lot of small, farm operations for whatever reason. I call it the Three Rivers area, kind of Lafayette, Pontotoc, Lee, I think Union County in that area, Panola, Tate. There are a lot of small farmers in that area that are able to basically, Panola comes to mind too, that market, Tate County. Hernando, DeSoto County has the city has a great market there. They have enough farmers to supply those markets without having so many farmers go to multiple markets, but they do have some. But back on Tupelo, I haven't been since they've opened that up. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. But they've done a really good job with that area.
Well, it excites me to see, and it's that time of year. And when you visit your farmer's market, even I always say, Purvie, just take $20 if you've never been, because it can be overwhelming. And just say, I'm going to take $20. I'm going to go. I'm going to enjoy a leisurely walk, look, sights, sounds, taste some things, because there'll be some things out there to do that. And then you never know, you're going to probably come home with more than that, but like it reduces the stress of going for the first time, and getting to know your farmers to me is one of the better things about it.
Your farmers, your what we call your value-added producers, the people who are doing jellies and jams and other ag-based products, your people doing bakery products. You really have some pretty neat conversations with some of them. One of the neatest thing I found is that some of our farmers are people who are from here that have retired from other places that have moved back here. And that's what they're doing in their retirement, is they're basically went to farming because
that's cool.
That's what they grew up doing. Yeah. And they've kind of – and I had the funniest conversation with this one farmer. He swore he wouldn't do it. He swore he wouldn't, and sure enough, that's what he's doing now. So
And we need more farmers. So if you're looking for a retirement opportunity, pick up farming.
I tell them all the time, if I cross somebody, hey, we need to grow some more food. So if you're looking for an opportunity, I got some options for you.
Always need it, for sure. All right, Purvie, where do we go for all information on your programs or farmers markets and finding one in Mississippi?
So mdac.ms.gov, basically the Mississippi Department of Agriculture website, has all that information there about the programs and about farmers markets in the state.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Safe travels to Shaw.
Thank you.
Take the rain with you, or keep the rain or something. Take the heat with you.
I hope it's raining to beat the heat a little bit.
Stick with us. We got more for you up next.